Okay, so this is the SolidWorks Lesson 3 video tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to be making a blueprint. We're going to be making two blueprints, actually. One of the first part that we made, and a second one of the assembly that we made in the last two lessons. So the first thing that this tutorial is going to have you do is that it wants you to add a location for some templates. But if you're using VCAT, this has already been done. So you don't need to follow this step. So we're going to skip that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a blueprint. We're going to go up to File, and then we're going to click New. And then, so normally what it shows you, normally you see this when you try to open up a new file. But what we're going to do is we're going to click Advanced, and then it's going to give us this view. And we want to go over to the Tutorial tab. And then from here, we're going to click Draw. And then we're going to click OK. And so then it's going to open up this empty blueprint for us to work with. And then it's going to try to, ask us what part do we want to put in here. We're just going to click X for now. We'll add something later. So we're going to right click on anywhere in the sheet, and then we're going to click Edit Sheet Format. And so what this is going to allow us to do is change the writing that's here. So like here, where it says company name, you can double click there, and then it'll allow you to change this to whatever you want. You can make it your name, or you can make it the class that you're making this for. And then you can just click anywhere and it'll save your changes. And then once we're done there, we are going to right click, and then we're going to click Edit Sheet, and that's going to exit out of the editing of the sheet. And so this next step is going to have us save the format, but so this next step is going to have us, save the sheet format so that we could use this repeatedly anytime we want to make a blueprint of a part. And the tutorial tells you, you could do this and save one for your company's specifications, but if you're using VCAT, you're not going to be able to do that simply because the location that it needs to be saved at isn't accessible. So we're just going to skip the step. So now it's going to have you change some options in your blueprint that you're going to make. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to unpin this. And then where this little gear is, the options button, we're going to click that. And then we are going to go to the Document Properties tab. And then under Drafting Standards, we're going to click on Annotations. And here where it says font, we're going to click that. And then what we want to do is we want to change the points. We're going to change that value to 12. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK. And then under Drafting Standards, we're going to go to Dimensions. And then here, the only thing that we're going to change is down here where it says trailing zeros. Where it says dimensions, we're going to change this to remove. Then we're going to click OK. So what we want to do is actually, we want to open up our first part that we made. So we're going to click, we're going to open it up under the File tab. We're going to click on our part and open it. And then, so we have this here. And since if we want to get back to our blueprint, we can click this button up here just to put that on the left side, and then we can click on our blueprint. So now we want to insert that part into our blueprint here. So we are going to go up. Okay, yeah. So we're going to go up here and we're going to click model view. And then you're going to see that it already has tutor 1 here. And that's because we have it opened up in the background. So it's already got it selected. And then we're going to click this next arrow. And now it's going to have a bunch of options of how you want to place it and how you want it to look like. So for these, we are going to click here where it says front. This is going to be the orientation of the piece. And you can see it here when you hover your mouse over the blueprint area. And then we're going to make sure that the preview box here is clicked. And then under here where it says options, we're going to make sure that the auto start projected view is checked as well. And then here where it says display style, we're going to make sure that we have hidden lines removed. All of these things should be default, but if they're not, make sure that these are selected. Now for the scale, we are going to use a custom scale. So we're going to click use custom scale, and then in this drop down box, we're going to scroll up, and then we're going to click user defined. And here, we are going to define our scale to be 1 to 4. And so you'll see that makes your part appear smaller in the blueprint. So we are going to place it here in the blueprint. And then, as you can see, when you move your mouse away, it's going to automatically project another drawing of that part from different angles. So what we want to do is we want to place one above, and we're going to click to place that. And then we're going to move our mouse to the side, and we're going to click one on the right. And so after we've placed those two, we're going to go ahead and click the green check mark over here. And now we have our 3 drawings of our part. And you'll see that if you hover over here where you see the 4 arrows like this, and you try to move this around, you can't move it to the side, but you can move it up and down, as it'll only move in line with this front view of the part. And you can do the same thing with this one. And you can also see that if you move this one around, the others will follow it to stay in line. So if you still have this open over here on the left side, we're going to go ahead and close this dialog. And now what we're going to do is add annotations. So we're going to go over to the annotations tab, and then right next to smart dimensions, there's going to be the model items button. We're going to go ahead and click that. So, and we're going to change some options for this. We want to make sure that the source says the entire model and not the selected feature. And then we're going to click this box that says import items into all views. And then under dimensions, we are going to make sure that marked for drawing is selected, as well as eliminate duplicates. These should be selected by default. And then we're going to go ahead and press OK. And you'll see that this automatically generates dimensions for our parts from what it defines as the significant dimensions for each view, but it doesn't duplicate them, which is why this one over here doesn't have any annotations to it. And so from here, we can go ahead, zoom in on these guys. And then you can see it's kind of cluttered and they're overlapping. We want to move them around so that, they're easily read. And you'll notice that these aren't right. Like if you remember this fillet here was 5 millimeters. That's because this blueprint is in inches, pounds, and seconds. You want to change this to millimeters, grams, seconds. And then you'll see all of these look right. So we're going to go ahead and drag these around. Make sure that, they're in intuitive locations that can be read more easily. Mood, you don't have to keep this part in while I struggle to get the zoom correct or while I move all the stuff around. You can cut this part out. And just skip to the part where they're all placed in the correct locations. Okay, so now that we've gotten all of our dimensions placed and organized in a way that looks nice, we can go ahead and exit out of this. We can click this green check mark up here to close that dialog. And we want to make sure we save. So we're going to go ahead and save this as tutor, or whatever you'd like to save the name as. And so a neat thing that you can do with the blueprint is that you can change the dimensions of the part here, and it will change the dimensions of the part file. So for example, let's say, I've already changed this, but let's say that we wanted to change this dimension here from 40 to 25. Struggling with the zoom options. So we can click on this. We'll actually double click it. And then let's say we wanted to change that to 25. We could do 25. Oh, an important thing you want to do is that when you change it, you don't want to click this green check mark and hit enter. You want to hit this little light thing that says regenerate the model with the current value. And so you see that actually changes what it looks like in the blueprint. And then we'll click the green check mark. And you'll see if we minimize that and we go back over here, then you'll see that this one actually reflects that change. So if we click on this, you'll see that this is actually 25. Let's bring back our blueprint. If we wanted to change this back to 40, we can do 40 and click the stoplight there. You'll see that this one is now 40. So next what we're going to do is we are going to open up our assembly to see how this change is reflected over there. So let's change this to 25. We will rebuild it. For you guys, you're going to leave it at 40, and then you're going to open up your assembly. And our assembly is believe it's this one. So when you do that, you're going to get this error or this warning that pops up. That's asking you if you want to rebuild it with the new dimensions. And you want to select rebuild. And you'll see that it changes that in the assembly as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add a new sheet to this blueprint. So we're going to right click anywhere in this area and we're going to click add sheet. So the sheet format cannot be located. That's because we couldn't save it in the location that was inaccessible at the beginning of this tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and click OK, and we're going to click on A3 ISO, or whichever one you'd like. I just like A3 because it's the text box down there is the biggest. So now we have another sheet in this blueprint, and you can see down here we can click sheet 1, and that brings us back to our first part. Now in sheet 2, we are going to add the model of the assembly that we made. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to view layout, and then we're going to click on standard 3 view. And this is going to basically do the same thing that we did with our part 1, except it's going to automatically place all 3 drawings at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and select our assembly, and then we're going to click this green check mark. And it's automatically placed all 3 of the views of our part. And now what we want to do is we want to place a 3D drawing kind of our part that's kind of like shaded in. So we're going to go up here where it says model view. We're going to click that, and then we're going to make sure we have our assembly tutor selected. We're going to click that next button, and then here we are going to click the isometric view. Then we're going to scroll down, and this time we want it to be shaded with edges. And then if you hover over here, you'll see you have your tutor. And let's say you had it in the other display state and it looked like this, where you saw those dotted lines. If you didn't want to place it to look like this, right here where it says display state, you'll see it has those display states that you made in the assembly. So you can go ahead and switch between those. So you can go ahead and just click it and place it right about here. And then, oh, my bad. Let me put this back. And then you want to click the green check mark up here. And so the last step of this tutorial says print it, but I don't think you guys need to print it. So that's it for this lesson. That's all you have to do. And make sure that when you save, you want to save all. Because when you save all, it's going to save all these blueprints, and it's going to save the dimensions that you changed for your other parts. All right, and that's it.